Hello lovely yoga people, and welcome to this week's video. So last week was half term and I taught a day of yoga and nature connection, and we had a really beautiful day of self-love yoga and other things. But because of that, it made me think that actually I was going to, for this week and next week, work with a bit of what we did over the day because it was so lovely. And the kind of theme that we've been working with over the last few weeks has been cultivating prana. And actually there is nothing that cultivates prana more than being able to really love and accept yourself and give to yourself. So we're going to begin by lying down on our backs. And I'm using my bolster today, but if you've got a bolster, then that's fantastic, or just using some cushions or a couple of rolled up blankets to make something. And what you're going to do is you're going to come down and have this underneath your knees. So if you haven't got something, pause the video, go and get it, and then come back and join me lying on your back with your knees up onto whatever your thing is. So I've got my knees slightly apart. I'm going to bring my hands down onto my sort of midriff here. I'm going to lift my head up and then drop the head down, keeping my chin slightly tucked, so that when I come down I'm really comfortable here with a nice open throat. So from here you can close the eyes and just let yourself drop. So nothing to do for a moment. We're just tuning into the breath, moving gently in and out through the nose, and just allowing ourselves to be. Beautiful. So sometimes it's hard to find the time to just really rest down and just let yourself relax on the earth. So here we are, giving to ourselves. Lovely. So I'm going to invite you now to open your arms out and stretch them out at shoulder height along the ground, stretching through the fingers. And then on the exhale, we're going to bring them all the way up to above the head and then cross them over. So taking them all the way over, grabbing hold of the backs of the shoulders or wherever you can reach, giving yourself a great big hug from here. And then we can open them again. So inhaling, breathing, opening the arms wide, stretching through the fingers, and then exhaling, bringing them up to the top. And again, going over, but this time crossing the other way. So whichever way you went before, do the other one. Lovely. And then just coming back down, we're going to put hands down by the sides of the bottom. Lovely. So you can move your bolster away now, unless of course you want to have a bit more time with it. Just get rid of it. And we're going to come to semi-supine, so knees bent with the heels behind the bottom. And we're just going to do a couple of those pelvic tilts. So on the exhale, dropping the lower spine down to the ground, curling up the tailbone but not lifting. And then as you inhale, bringing the spine back to its natural shape. We'll do that again. But then on the inhale, we can then lift the arms up and over the head to touch the ground behind us. Exhaling, everything down. So hands down, lower back, lower spine down to the ground. And last time, inhale, arms coming up and over the head. So I'm going to invite you now to take your left foot long along the mat and flexing that foot so the toes are working their way towards you. As you exhale, bring the right knee up into the chest, grab hold of it with the hands and squeeze it in towards that right armpit. Beautiful. So you can have a couple of breaths there. And then on the inhale, the next inhale, we're going to point through toes, both toes going down, pointing through toes and fingers. And then as we exhale, flexing the feet and bringing the left knee up into the chest, taking it towards that left armpit. Inhaling, coming back into the stick pose again, so pointing through fingers and toes. This time, flexing through both toes as you come up into this position here. And then when we get here, we're going to rotate that top ankle round 3 times one way and 3 times the other way. Back into stick pose again. And exhale again. We're going to rotate that top foot round. Lovely. So then we can bring both knees up into the chest. Give yourself another big self-love hug, and we can rock gently on the back here. So from here you can either keep your knees here, and from here taking both knees down to one side, the arm over to the other side. So we're coming into a supine twist. If that's a bit too strong, especially this early on in the practice, you can put your feet back down and just do it with your feet from the ground. Just do whatever's right for you. And we can breathe from here. So just gently trying to let everything go. Remembering that we're giving to ourselves today. So don't do anything that doesn't feel okay for you. Beautiful. So then we can either bring the knees back up into the chest or feet onto the ground back into semi-supine. Arms are still out to the side. So dropping down to the other way, head going the other way. If you're happy to bring your knees up, then do that. Otherwise, keep them down. And again, just letting everything go, dropping down into the earth. Beautiful. So we're going to come back to the semi-supine shape again. So hands down by the sides of the bottom, feet down on the ground behind the bottom there. And we're going to come into a little bridge. So exhale, dropping the lower spine into the ground. Inhale, lifting up the hips, just not too far on this first one, just to where they come naturally. And then exhale, seeing if you can imagine the lower spine coming down to the ground first. So we'll do that again. Exhale, lower spine dropping down to the ground. Inhale, lifting up the hips, and this time we can raise the arms up and over the head again. And exhaling down. This time I'm going to invite you to take your arms out at shoulder height along the ground. I'm going to do the same thing. So exhaling, lower spine to the ground. Inhale, raising up the hips. This time we're going to give ourselves one of those lovely self-love hugs. So taking the hands, the arms over. Inhale, dropping down. Exhaling rather, dropping down. Exhaling, lower spine to the ground. Inhaling, lifting the hips. And this time the arms coming the other way. So whichever way they went before, the other way. Exhaling, coming all the way down. Let's bring the arms down to the sides of the bottom again. So from here, I'm going to invite you to come and join me in all fours. So I've got a nice blanket here for under my knees. Make sure that you have padding if you need it. So with sun ray fingers, and we can just start here by just looking down between the thumbs. Then we're going to inhale, looking forward, taking the spine down to the ground. Exhale, spine to the ceiling, looking between the knees. Doing a couple more of these in your own time, with your own breath. Lovely. So we can come back to neutral spine for a moment, and then I'm going to invite just some organic movements just for a moment, just doing whatever works for you, coming into any direction that you want to, and then coming back to the neutral spine. We're going to tuck the toes, and for those who want, we can lift the hips and come gently up into the dog. So from here, I'm inviting the knees still nice and bent, seeing if you can drop the heels down to the ground, weight going through all portions of the hands, and taking a few breaths here. Don't stay here if it feels too much. You can always come and rest. And then we can do a little bit of walking the dog. So one heel down, the other knee bent, doing that a few times. And then coming back to stillness. Do take a rest if you need to, and then come back and join us. And we're going to raise one leg up. It doesn't really matter which one you do. And then drop that heel behind you and look up under your armpit. And then drop that foot back down. And we'll do the other one. So raising up the other leg, bending that leg behind you, looking up under the armpit, and then coming back down. So we're going to drop back down, taking the knees wide, big toes together, dropping onto the heels if this is okay for you. Head on the hands or on the floor, and we'll take some big sighs out here. Beautiful. So making sure that you are looking after yourself, loving yourself, giving yourself exactly what you need. So from here, we're going to just briefly come through the toe squat. I've been feeling a bit of arthritis in my big toe joint recently, so I've been doing a bit more of this. It's really good for that. We're going to just come up into high kneeling for a moment with the toes tucked like this. Doing a sort of modified camel, just to do a little bit of a back bend. So I'm going to invite you to bring hands onto the lumbar spine, and we're just going to keeping the chin slightly tucked, just taking the head back and coming into a little bit of a back bend. Beautiful. Lovely. And then we're just going to step forward with one foot. It doesn't really matter which one. We're just going to do a little bit of stretching out the top of that back leg there, and then we'll come through and do it on the other side. Wonderful. So coming down into the Sphinx, elbows under the shoulders, chin slightly tucked, looking down between the thumbs. I've got the tops of my feet down, and then from here I'm just going to raise the chin a little bit and turn my head one way, trying to keep the chin in the same position, turning it the other way, coming all the way back through. And then we're going to drop the hands down under the shoulders, take the head to the floor. We're going to do a little bit in cobra. So from here, as little weight in the hands as you can. On the inhale, raising head and shoulders. Exhale, coming down. Try and keep the tops of the feet down onto the ground if you can. So inhale, raising up. Exhale, one more of those. Beautiful. And then we can just raise back up, come back into the child. Take a moment there. So I'm going to invite you now to come and find a comfortable seat for a moment in the centre of your mat. Okay, so just finding a position that feels really comfortable. For me, this is really good. And I'm going to just go through with you the breathing that we're doing this week. And I'm going to just I'm just going to go through it and then invite you to pause the video and just practice it for a little bit. So it's the 3-part breathing, or the full yogic breath, which a lot of you have done with me before. And what we're going to do is we're going to begin by breathing into the belly here. So as we breathe in, we're just taking the air all the way right down into the belly. So you can feel the belly filling and releasing. Beautiful. So stop that for a moment. What you can do is you can bring your hands up onto your rib cage. You can do it like that or like that, whichever works for you. And as we breathe in, you're going to feel, so you're bringing the breath right into the main part of the lungs, the centre of the lungs here. As you breathe in, feeling the lungs expand in all directions. And just breathing out normally. Okay, and now you can just bring your hands up onto the top of your chest here. So this is a very shallow way, but this is breathing in just into the very top part of your lungs here. This is just so that you get the idea. Okay, so now we're going to incorporate all 3 of those parts. So starting with the belly, breathing into the belly, then up into the main part of the lungs, and then up into the top until your lungs are fully expanded, and then just release the air out. Right, once more. And release the air out. Right, so pause the video for a moment, practice that for 5-10 minutes or so, and then start the video again. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do before we come down and relax is we're going to work with the Tibetan sun salutation, which is something that I've only just discovered and I really like it. It's a very gentle version of the sun salutation. So beginning in hero's pose here, in kneeling position, and then we're going to rise up, lifting the arms up above the head and doing that back bend we were doing earlier. And then from here we're going to raise one foot and take it forward. It doesn't really matter which one you do. So taking that foot forward, and we're coming into this gentle lunge we were doing earlier, looking between the hands. Then we're going to bring that hand back and we're going to gently come down into the child. So dropping the hands down, dropping the head down, and then we're going to slide forward into the Sphinx that we were doing earlier, and we just take a moment here, and then we're going to bring the hands back underneath the shoulders again like we were doing. We're going to do the cobra here, so inhaling, raising up, exhaling down, inhaling, raising up, exhaling down. Then from here we're going to tuck the toes and we're going to raise up into the dog. So you can either come through the kneeling position first, like I've just done, or you can come straight up. Couple of breaths here. And then we're just going to drop back down to the knees, put the heels back down to the bottom, and then inhale, bringing the hands back up into the starting position. So I've turned around so that I can do it on the other side. So from here, raising up, arms above the head. Exhale, taking this foot out and lunging forward. Inhale, bringing that foot back in. Exhale, down into the child. Inhale, forward to the Sphinx. Exhale, down into the cobra. Inhale, raising up. Exhale, down. Inhale, raising up. Exhale down, tucking the toes and up into the dog. Couple of breaths here. And then exhaling, knees down, bottom down, and scooping back up to the starting position. So from this side again, inhaling up and stepping forward, lunging forward, looking up between the hands. Inhaling, coming back, exhaling down into the child. Inhaling forward into the Sphinx and exhaling down into the starting of the Cobra position. Inhaling, raising up, exhaling down. Inhaling, raising up, exhaling down, tucking the toes and inhaling up into the dog. Couple of breaths here. And then we're going to exhale, knees down, bottom down. Inhaling back to the starting position. So from this side again, inhaling up, looking between the hands. Exhaling, lunging forward. Inhaling, coming back. Exhale, dropping into the child. Inhale, scooping forward to the Sphinx. Exhaling down into the Cobra. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. Beautiful. Tucking the toes and raising up into the dog. Couple of breaths. Exhaling down, bottom down, and then finding your way back to the starting position. Lovely. So I'm going to invite you just to come and lie down on your back for a moment. We'll do a couple of counter poses before we relax. So find yourself down into semi-supine like this. I'm going to invite you just to bring the knees up into the chest. Give yourself a little rock from side to side. And then either just bringing the hands behind the knees like this, finding the soles of the feet facing towards the floor, the ceiling rather. And if that's good for you like that, staying like that, rocking. If you're able to take your hands to the outside edges of your feet and rock from side to side, happy baby. It's a lovely little counter pose there. Beautiful. And then we can just take one leg down, bring the other one over into a nice twist there, looking over the other side. And then just swapping sides, just doing what's right for you. Swapping over, lovely. And then I'm going to invite you, just do anything you want for a moment. So rock around or have a stretch or do whatever you want. And then find your Shavasana. So dropping the feet out, mat width apart, hands down by the sides with the palms facing up, chin slightly down. Closing the eyes and just let yourself drop. So don't skimp on this pose. It's the most important pose of the whole practice. You've been working a little bit with your body. It deserves a rest. Being kind to yourself, remember. We're giving to ourselves today in this self-love yoga. Beautiful. So don't move just because I do. Take the time that you want. So thank you so much for joining me today. It's a real pleasure to be making these videos. If you want to support me, you can subscribe to my channel, you can give me a thumbs up, make a comment. If you want to donate, the email is at the end of the video and you're really welcome to contact me. Thank you so much again. Namaste.